Hello, all. All right, so today I am going to go ahead and hold this Zoom session for the purposes of recording it for those of you for whom these sessions are helpful, but yet could not attend today. We don't have anyone yet in attendance. Sometimes people show up late. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started because I do have a number of items that I would like to talk to you about. Okay. All right. Okay, so we are going to switch things up today. I'm going to do course check-in first. And then once we knock that out, because that's going to be super easy, I think you all know what you need to be doing, but I'm going to talk about it just in case. And then I'm going to give you some announcements, and then I'm going to show you how to view your draft one feedback. I think you all know, but because now that we've got peer review comments and rubrics and things in there, you've got additional complexity, and I just wanted you to be aware that you've got feedback from me and feedback from colleagues, and you can view the different rubrics, okay, and the different comments. Sometimes if you're not careful, you don't realize that you're not viewing feedback from me, but rather one of your classmates. Okay, and then we'll do a live feedback session. I did have a paper sent, just one, just one for pre-review as a final draft for today. So I'm going to go ahead and run through that. That person will remain anonymous, and they can watch this later to get their feedback, or maybe they'll hop in here in a few minutes. And then obviously Q&A, there won't be much if no one shows up. So I did have just a funny story actually. I did have it was several weeks ago though, before I realized that we wouldn't get much attendance today. And several weeks ago, when we still had, a good number of folks showing up for this particular class, live sessions, I dreamt that I started class and there was only one lone, sad little participant besides me. So I guess that little nightmare, it's not really a nightmare, but that has come true today. So it's okay. I'm recording this again for the benefit of those who do get something from these sessions. Okay. And it does benefit everyone to watch because I do reveal information that you need to do better on your papers. Okay. All right. Let me move forward. Okay, so first thing, course check-in. Your big task of the week is your final draft, all right? And the way you submit that, you've got to go down to your term paper module, submit in the term paper final draft assignment, not the first draft because you already submitted that one, so you don't want to mess that up. Keep that there. Jump to the one that says November 22nd, which is this coming Sunday night when that is due, okay? All right. Okay, so for anyone who would like some paper helper feedback this week, we have tutors ready for you. They know what stage you are in the process. There are actually multiple people available to help with this. I have to rely on the tutors to help me because there are too many of you for me to provide more focused, dedicated feedback than what I already gave you on your draft ones. So there's two different kinds of directions you can go for tutors, and you can try both and just see how that works for you. A lot of you in your draft ones, I did suggest booking an appointment with the writing tutors. I believe they probably book you in like either 30 minutes or 1 hour blocks. But please don't let that discourage you. Your conversation with them might not take that long. And I really don't know because I've never used the writing tutors here at EOU as a student myself to know how it works if they want to see your work in advance and then you have the session, because I think that would help them most to have a chance to look at your stuff first. As opposed to number one up there, the subject specific tutors. So those tutors, why I'm offering you both options is anyone who's struggling with the assignment in general, big picture, probably should contact both kinds of tutors. Writing specific would be later, subject specific would be now. Okay, because these are tutors who have taken this course, and I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that all of the people that have been hired for this have taken it with me. So they know exactly what I'm looking for. They have your assignment in hand, or your assignment instructions in hand. They know what it is. They've watched the video. They know all about what you need to do. Okay, so I recommend, if you are really, really struggling, particularly if you did not get a very good grade on draft one, start with subject specific first. Okay, talk to them first. And again, those discussions, while they might book you for an hour, it doesn't mean you'll actually be on the call or Zoom or whatever with them for that long. All right. And then once you've got something that can actually, if you need help with mechanics, so if you need a proofreader, if you want grammatical support, if I've mentioned in your draft one that you need some assistance improving clarity or correcting tone, writing specific is what you need, because they are, most of them are either English majors or just really good at writing. Okay, and enjoy it. So that's that. And I encourage you again to please get in touch with them and do it soon, because they may not all be super available over the weekend. You want to get that done now. Okay. All right. Next thing. Okay. So, good news for you guys, because I know some of you have been attempting to turn in your papers early already, or wanting to do it, and my delay in getting your draft one feedback to you, particularly for those in section 1, you didn't get your feedback till 1 a.m. last night. Trust me, I've been trying to get through them all. It's just been, I've got a lot of grading to do. So everybody should now have your draft one feedback. Please go in and take a look. And again, be sure you're looking at feedback from me. Your classmates' feedback is good too, but in terms of your grade on the final draft, you want to make sure you know whose feedback you are implementing for the final draft. Okay. So I have moved the extra credit deadlines later so that more of you could get the extra credit. So it originally, the first one was on Monday, which is already passed, and that's 10 points extra credit. That's now tomorrow night, Thursday night. So if you want 10 points extra credit, get your final draft turned in by then. Okay. If you get your final draft turned in by Friday night, which was originally on the schedule too, but not for as many points as this, you get 7.5 points extra credit. And if you turn it in by Saturday night, so that's one day prior to the deadline, you get 5 whole points extra credit. So I really encourage you guys to take advantage of this. It can really help your grades. Okay. All right. And then, of course, we're looking at this in context. Next week is Thanksgiving, and you have only a couple tasks next week, which is to read chapter 9 and then take the quiz on it. Also note that if you want to do extra credit, additional extra credit on top of what's already been shared with you, there is that new extra credit module near the bottom of your modules list. You'll want to get those things, those items done between now and when you come back from Thanksgiving, because that Monday is when those things are due. Okay. All right. Okay, so I want to talk about how you can view all your feedback from draft 1. So there are 2 places. One is when you open the assignment, you get some general comments. And be careful with those, because all of the comments from your peers occurred before mine, right? Mine should be at the very bottom unless we have any late peer reviews. And then in that case, you might have some peer reviews after mine or some general comments. But if you want to see your ratings in the rubric, first draft rubric, and you want to know whose rubric you're looking at, all right, you'll see probably for you, this is the only screenshot I can offer because as a teacher, I don't see what you see. So basically these would say probably peer reviewer 1, peer reviewer 2 or something, or maybe anonymous user 1, anonymous user 2. I don't know how it looks for you. If somebody had been here today, I could ask one of you to share your screen and we could take a look at what that looks like. Okay. So for now, I've just got a couple actual classmates listed there. All right. Okay, so I hope that clarifies things. But again, just be careful whose feedback you're looking at. Okay. All right. So, Harry Potter fans? Anyone? Anyone? I do look forward to reading your final draft. And I encourage you to take the constructive feedback that I offered as you revise. You might have already been considering some of the feedback that your peers provided, which is good. I do want to talk to you about the 6 most common issues that I found with this particular batch of papers this year. I do this every time I teach this. The issues might vary some from one quarter to the next, but I tend to see a lot of the same things. So I want to share with you what those are, and these may or may not apply to your particular paper. If they did, you'll know because I told you in your draft. Okay. All right. So let me jump out of this so I can talk to you about those things. All right. We want to go in here because I had it as a separate Word document. Let me share this thing. Oh, I am sharing. Okay. All right. So the first thing is either there was no thesis statement or the thesis statement itself was unclear. Okay. So we need you to explicitly tell us. I know it might feel artificial to say in this paper, I will show how blah, 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 blah. Be really clear so there's no mistaking where the thesis occurs. Okay, so a construction that you might choose is in this paper, I will show how whatever type of conflict it is you're talking about does what or causes what. What's the implication of it, or why is it a problem? Yeah, why is it important? Okay. Additionally, immediately following that, and a lot of you did this, which I commented on if I saw it, immediately following that, you can then say, I will do this by, and you're sharing your preview, your plan, right, of how you're going to cover that. Okay. All right. So that's that one. The second one is really common. I see this every quarter, so it's not unique to you guys. And that is the use of conversational language. What is conversational language? Sometimes called tone. When you are writing a research paper, you want to avoid, this is one of the things, you want to avoid talking as you do when you're just speaking, right? Because we tend to add a lot of, if you let's say if you watch a transcript, right, of an interview on TV or something, you see a lot of like clauses and like comma, 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 major run on, right? So when you write like you speak, grammatical issues can insert themselves. So you want to be careful because you add unnecessary complexity. This hurts your clarity. And on your final draft, clarity will be one of the issues that I grade you on, and so will grammar. Okay, so for anyone who received those kind of comments from me, this is where I suggest booking an appointment with the Writing Center soon, very soon, don't wait till the weekend, to help you address those issues that I marked in your papers, to help you fix those, address those, even if it's just the draft 1 verbiage and it's not your final draft yet, so that you take care of that stuff so that it's not in your final draft. Okay. Second second situation in which tone or conversational language finds its way into research papers and makes the paper sound less professional and less like a research paper is be really careful using second person you. Okay, you should not be using that sentence construction. Figure out a way to rewrite that sentence where you don't have you or your or yours in it. Okay, best thing to do to address that, search for it and fix them one at a time. Okay, if you're using a lot of first person I, all right, in my classes, and not all teachers feel this way. In my classes, because I take a humanities approach to communication, I don't mind you using first person I, but only to an extent, because this paper is not really intended to be your personal experience or your personal opinion. This is a research paper. So a lot of the sentences that you got written in first person, you can easily say the exact same thing without I being in there. Just think about what you're saying, how you're saying it, and try to reword without I being in there. A lot of times, if you're talking about research that you found and the relevance of it and implications and application to your topic, there's no reason for I to be in there. You don't have to say that. Okay. Writing Center can help you with those issues too. The you and I, all right, they can help you. But it's really easy for you to just at least search. You may not know what to do with it once you get it, and that's why I suggest the Writing Center if you find those areas and don't know how to fix them. But you can at least identify where they are in the paper and then specifically show the tutor, how can I reword this? Okay. All right. Next thing. Okay. You need to include and integrate concepts, the vocabulary in particular, that you learned in this class, all right? And from your outside sources. Do that frequently, both, okay? And you should especially be doing that in your literature review, okay? All right, next thing. Our textbook must be in your references and you must cite it in the body of your paper. So citations from the author Jant, integrating that vocabulary and your definitions into your discussion and your analysis is essential for you to pass this paper. That is a major component of this paper, is proving to me that you learned something in this course. So you've got to utilize the specific vocabulary and definitions that you've learned. They came out of your textbook. Okay. All right. Fifth thing, anytime you reveal information from a source, I know you guys know this, but you may not have realized you were doing it. Anytime you really reveal any information that's not in your head, personal experience, right? That didn't come from you, you didn't invent, such as a vocabulary word or a definition of a vocabulary word, including and especially from our textbook. Even if you're paraphrasing it because you learned it in this class, you don't remember how or when or what week you learned it, you should always include an in-text citation. So even if paraphrasing, if you're trying to describe the various conflict styles, for example, and you're paraphrasing, you need to include an in-text citation. So the best way to do that, pull up your, bring up your textbook, whether it's electronic or physical, right? Look up that word, figure out what index is a good place to go, figure out what page it occurs on. Okay, and that's how you can get your in-text citations included, right? Last thing, please treat your textbook like you would any other source. Okay, any of your other resources listed in that reference list, treat the textbook like that. So the textbook needs to be there as a reference, but also within the body of your paper where you're talking about the concepts, please avoid saying things like our textbook says and in our textbook. Please don't do that, because you might be sharing this paper with people outside this class. Ultimately, you might use it as a portfolio piece, for example, and to make it come across much more professional, like a proper research paper, you should cite it just like you do your other resources. Okay, so that means parenthetical citations, author page number or author year, depending on your reference style that you've chosen, and including it in the reference list. Okay, and please refer to Purdue OWL, as I mentioned in previous Zoom sessions. It was one last week or the week before that actually demoed how to use Purdue OWL and how to find the kind of referencing help that you need because of problems I've been seeing in the references and citations with your papers. Okay. All right, so those are the 6 most common problems. Keep those in mind. I would probably be helpful to you if I export this and put it up on as a Q&A, like frequently asked questions or frequent issues. Stick it on our course. I'm gonna make a note of that right now. I think that would be good for you to be able to, if you want to like make your final draft super good, just to check for those 6 things. I'm gonna do that. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing this. And let's see. What else did I want to share with you? Let me go back. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is I'm going to cover my feedback on one of the papers that was emailed to me. So let me pull that up. I will mention 4 were submitted for extra credit on Canvas. So I'm assuming those were not submitted for review session purposes because that should have been emailed to me. So I'm going to leave those as is. Okay, and I only cover this one, which was emailed to me. All right, let me share this. Now, I will preface this by saying, and this is a very good paper, I will preface this by saying, because of my delay in the grading of your draft ones, this individual, like any of you would have been had you submitted for review during a session like this, because I didn't get to your draft ones for this or release them for this particular or for section 1 until last night, very in the middle of the night, this individual would not have seen my feedback yet from draft 1 to be able to address it in the final draft. So some of this stuff has already been submitted to that individual for their consideration to fix in the final draft. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick scan. I'm not going to read just yet. I just want to do a quick scan, give us an idea because all of you haven't read this either. Some of you might have read the draft 1 of it if you had it as your peer review, so it might look familiar to you. Okay, so I've got a good sense. It's 5 pages total. Okay, so I'm guessing at 5 pages total, it might be under word count, and they probably still need to flesh some more things out. In fact, I know that that is the case because there's one spot, and I'll show it to you right here. Some of the outline material from, I think, Lit Review may have been analysis section, is still in here. And I didn't know if this individual was still working or if they realized that that is still in there. So they would need to write that as a regular sentence, integrate it in with the paragraphs, and add any additional context or explanation that might be necessary. Okay. So let me go back to the beginning again. Okay. I did like the kind of real world quotes that were at the beginning of this. I think that's cute. Are obviously talking about parent-child conflict, right? So they've got a quote here: "Give that back. It's mine. I had it first." Oh, this is sibling. Okay, here we go. Sibling conflict. "No, it's mine. You put it down. No, it's mine, Mom." so the focus of this paper, from what I understand, is talking about sibling rivalry, but also from a parent's perspective on how they can better manage that kind of conflict. So it's good because it's a applicable real world problem. Okay, all right. So their thesis is down here, right? Good thesis statement, and I like that they have a plan immediately following it. Remember, I mentioned earlier as a suggestion to make your intro even stronger for all of you. They tell me this is what they're going to do next. Here are the ways they are going to accomplish what they set out to do in the thesis statement. So they chose to analyze how birth order and sex of a child affects conflict among siblings. Great, very simple. Okay. I would prefer it is a matter of style, but because that's only 2 sentences and it's clear, it's like boom, it's right there. So it's clear. So that's one thing, but I'd prefer it maybe be more in line with the paragraph. So maybe at the end of that previous paragraph or at the beginning of the next one, if the next paragraph is appropriate. In this case, it's not, because the next paragraph, which I would like to talk about real quick, is good as a preface to your literature review. So they've done a nice little transition. Here I will define these concepts briefly, right? And then they go in so that, we know, since we don't have headings in this paper, we know, okay, that's what we're going to expect in this next few paragraphs. Okay, so they go through their literature review, and then you see a number of citations here, which is good. All right, so I see I have a couple comments here, so I think I know what they are. I think I remember what I did there. Okay, so I recommend this to anyone that I caught it on your paper, and if I didn't catch it, be aware of this as you work. Anytime you see in a academic paper, unless you're talking like master's thesis level where you've got 60 pages worth of stuff, A paper this short should not have paragraphs this long. Okay, you see how long that was? All right, so it's a full page long because it began way up here. Okay, so take a look at that and try to break it up according to topic, right? Try to break it up organically and have nice transitions between those paragraphs, and this will read much more smoothly. Okay, and then okay, so here this is just a little bit choppy in how it's presented. So my recommendation is rather than going through every one of the vocabulary words from our text, I appreciate that you did that. That's perfect. Rather than covering them all here, pick maybe, is there a couple concepts that encompass all of them? Like that some of those are parts of a previous definition, maybe? That you could say, okay, from the Jant, however you're going to phrase that, from Jant, and again, don't refer to it as our textbook. I think I mentioned that in the 6 issues that I saw frequently. Do it like a proper, like they did here. Okay. Instead of going through every single definition from the textbook that would apply to this paper, save some of these for when you need to talk about them. So it reads a little more organically and makes a little more sense to your reader. Okay. So I know I asked you to define concepts in your lit review. The intent there was more for your outline purposes so that you know what concepts you want to cover. But now that you know, let's see if you can group them, see if you can summarize rather what you're pulling from Jant, put that in lit review. But then as you go into actually all of these more specific definitions, then I suggest taking those kind of things, the more granular things, and putting them down in your analysis in line where they fit, okay, in your discussion of how those things apply to your topic, right? The other thing about that I want to say is, yes, for the most part, from what I could tell, and I may be generalizing, but I don't think I am, every one of these definitions is a direct quote, direct quote, direct quote, right? I suggest that you intersperse some of your own paraphrasing in there so that it doesn't feel like the same exact construction every time. And I did see some other papers that had a similar approach, not necessarily to definitions, but the words, this is da, 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 and the next sentence, this is da, 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 this is, anytime you have repetition like that, maybe just scan your paper to see, like, for example, this person is assertiveness is, verbal aggressiveness is. This one is not so bad because you got a phrase in there, but it still is bullying is, right? So consider taking a look if you've got the same construction over and over. It's going to get monotonous to your reader and not look as professional, say if you wanted to use this for a portfolio piece, right? So to make it where it seemed like you put a little more, I don't know, energy maybe into it, try paraphrasing just a little bit. And the Writing Center can't help you with that if you're struggling with other ways to rephrase the same thing. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. Okay. So I think we're getting through analysis here. And see, this student did well, and that is what I want you guys to do too. Even in your analysis, you need to continue to cite things, okay? Because a lot of the things that you say in your analysis as you're discussing how the concepts from the textbook, vocabulary from the textbook applies to your concept, the topic, overall topic, your thesis, as you're marrying those things together, right, as you're processing it, logically, you're going to need to keep referring back to those sources because those ideas didn't come from you, right? So they did the right thing here. They've got a whole lot of citations, and I really appreciate that. That is exactly what we want to see in a research paper. All right. Next one, I do see you is highlighted. So here is a perfect example of what I mentioned earlier about tone. I don't think this individual did this a lot. I didn't see you a whole lot, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I better say something so they know it, right? There are ways that you can rephrase pretty much anything, right? And here's more, your, right? Pretty much anything that you're saying like this can be absolutely rephrased to not have second person. Okay. All right. And then last, okay, two more things. What do I say? Okay, so I recommended the conclusion was not bad at all. But I did recommend, because I didn't see the thesis echoed in it in a clear way, in an obvious way, I suggest paraphrasing your thesis somewhere in this conclusion, put it where it makes sense. Usually I say at the beginning of the conclusion or at the end of the conclusion, the way this individual has worked their conclusion, it doesn't really fit at the end. So that's why I'm like, you might need to consider where you want to put it and maybe reframe a little bit what's around it. The construction I suggest for doing that in a conclusion, you could say, you know, some of you do this, make it really obvious. In conclusion, blah 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 blah, or to sum up, blah 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 blah. You could also say, here I discussed, or in this paper I discussed, right? And then go forward and talk a little bit more like this person does, right? So good. And then the last thing I had to say about this paper was they just got a typo. They've got this double. Oh, it's not even double. It's actually, it says word count. Okay. So yeah, remove that. Don't need that, right? Okay. The only other thing, and this is not a huge deal and it doesn't hurt your grade, it just makes for better readability, is that most references pages will have, okay, double spacing, which is right, but single space the actual source itself. So it's compressed. It's really easy to see, boom, 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 that you got 3 references, right? For a lot of you did not do this hanging indent, you should do that. And I think that is the requirement for most reference styles. And it also helps with readability because you can then see, okay, author, 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 right? As if it's bulleted. Don't bullet. Don't do bullets. Okay. All right. So I hope that was helpful. And I probably also should send that feedback, because that student did not receive that feedback from me in advance of the session. All right. Okay. What else do I have? Okay. All right. So, obviously, there's no new individuals to share their papers or offer questions. So, so what I'd like to do at this point is, again, I'm going to put the frequently seen problems, as opposed to frequently asked questions, frequently seen problems up on our Canvas course, so you can check them out to make sure you're not doing those things. And then I'm also going to suggest that if you do have general questions about the paper this week, put them in the discussion forum so that we can all benefit from the answer. Okay. If you need more tailored feedback and support, that is where I am going to direct you to the Learning Center and or the Writing Center, as opposed to my attempting to help you with kind of granular details that you might have. Now, if you have draft 1 feedback from me that was confusing, you don't understand what I'm saying, absolutely contact me so that I can clarify. And if we need to meet, we'll meet. But if I suggested meeting with the Writing Center to address any of those items, I would recommend you do that, because they can go through line by line and be like, yeah, no, that won't work. Got to do this instead. Okay. And for anyone who, like I mentioned earlier, was really struggling with the overall task that we're doing on this paper, and I think you'll know who you are by the nature of your feedback and your grade. Please go ahead and contact those writing tutors, or not the writing tutors, the CALM tutors, who can kind of explain this assignment in a peer-to-peer way that might be explaining it better than maybe I have been, because apparently I failed somewhere in the instructions. I have, for if that's you, I have mentioned that in your draft that you should revisit those instructions to make sure that you are hitting them, but and the criteria that's required for the rubric. But also I would strongly recommend meeting with a tutor so you can share what your struggles are. Okay. All right, so with that, I'm going to let you guys go. This wasn't too long of a session, about normal sans participants. So I hope this was helpful. Again, please reach out to me if you experience any major issues. Preferably, let's talk about those things in the discussion forum because I think your classmates could benefit from any answers. Okay. If it's specifically about feedback I gave you, though, contact me directly. Okay. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I won't be holding a Zoom session next week because it's Thanksgiving week and Wednesday falls on a day that campus is closed. So our next live session and the last live session will occur on Dead Week. And the topic or subject or focus of that session is going to be reviewing concepts for your final exam. So you won't want to miss that. If I have a chance to make it fun and interactive, maybe via Kahoot or something, I really aim to do that. So, okay. Also, don't forget you have there are extra credit opportunities available for you to do between now and Dead Week, due on Monday. So don't hesitate to jump in and do some of those if you want to bring your grade up. Okay. All right. I hope everyone does well with your writing, and I really look forward to seeing your final drafts. All right. Thank you, everybody.